breathe. I picked this topic the first week of August as I was thinking about how we might weave new ways of discussing belonging into our beginning of the year traditions. And I had no idea then how much I would need the steady reminder to breathe over this past week. It's been a busy one, marked by the last-minute details of getting ready for our installation yesterday, some personal family things that were not unexpected, but needed a lot from my attention and my emotions, and the latest rounds of gun violence disrupting people's lives, opening deep wells of grief and traumatizing witnesses and survivors, while our lawmakers insist there is no way we can possibly prevent these deaths. Breathe. When I was an intern minister, my supervisor introduced me to some of the spiritual practices that she peppered throughout her day. They were short moments that didn't require more than 5 minutes, but that offered a reset and an invitation to balance just the same. The UU Church of Davis, California is in a setting that is nothing like our own. Inland, it is set on a 6-acre campus with a hill off to one side and an outdoor labyrinth under the protective shade of a dozen or so pine trees in the back. A path, part of the 60 miles of bike and walking paths that weave through a city of just under 10 square miles. Yes, my numbers are correct. 60 miles of bike paths in 10 square miles of city. Passes by the sanctuary and over a footbridge before leaving the property and running alongside a grove of fruit trees. And every day, my supervisor walked that campus. After a meeting or a tough pastoral conversation, or just in the midst of writing and research. And I started walking too. I walked that property, breathing in the smells of the farm next door. It smells like home to me, and returning to my center. Breathe. And for all of the ways that our church looks nothing like that one, I felt that practice calling me back this week. It was a small nudge at first, like a finger in your side from an irritating cousin or sibling, and then a deep yearning. A call to an old practice of walking and breathing. A call to make it my own again here in this community I now call mine, call ours. A call to breathe into the belonging of a new space and a new people. A walk instead past centuries-old buildings to the soft sand of the sea. Breathing through it all as the ocean floods my senses, first my nose as the wind shifts, then my eyes as I glimpse that first deep blue in the distance, and finally my ears, the steady rhythm of water lapping at the shore, sometimes the soft crash of small waves racing toward their end. Breathe. Breathe into belonging. We've done the work of trust building these past 2 years together. We've gotten to know one another. We adopted our congregational covenant, and we hold it up as the tool that helps us show up for one another in belonging. I want to remind you of a few of the promises we make to one another in that covenant as we open this church year. And I'm paraphrasing these, but you can find copies of it in the narthex if you need a reminder. We have committed to staying gentle with one another, to being willing to stay in relationship here, even when, and perhaps especially when, relationship feels like the hardest task ahead of us. We have committed to respect, to the appreciation of our diversity in identity, strengths, abilities, disabilities, and growing edges. We have used the language of beloved community, a reminder that striving toward beloved community is the work that brings us together over and over again. We have settled into that part of this work of shared ministry that is the steady cycle of reminding ourselves of trust, breathing into our own belonging in this space, and taking the risk to try something new. I often find myself thinking that the risk of language is one of our greatest strengths as Unitarian Universalists, and also one of our greatest challenges. We know deep in our core that the words we use in church space that one person's spirit needs to hear to feel the most alive are the same words that another person would be just fine never using, thank you very much. We in fact love this about ourselves and about one another, right? It's part of why we have landed here, where we are on many paths together in community. That a delightful moment of connection in a service is what one person might call the spark of new friendship, what another might call indescribable. A third would say was simply sacred. And a fourth would tell us they are certain that that was the moment they looked God in the eyes. And it can be hard to find our way into language that we don't personally connect with. There is a decades-old joke that asks why the Unitarian Universalist read ahead in the hymnal. Do you know it? It's to see if he agreed with the words. And we laugh, right, because there is a kernel of truth. Most of us can find our way into song, and we have done that here over and over again, even when its ideas are not our own. But there is a kernel of truth in that joke, right? And I like to think of myself as someone who can find comfort in most music that is not created to cause harm. And still, there are some old hymns that try as I might, I cannot find my way into. And listening is my best appreciation for someone else's deeply held theology. Breathe into belonging. For a number of decades, if you have been UU for a long time and are familiar with this, you may remember that our UU history tried to suggest that we had moved beyond a need for language and metaphor. We were better than that. We could simply state things as they are. Many of us found our way into this religious community by seeking something that was not like what we had found elsewhere. We needed language and frameworks that were very intentionally and very strongly inclusive. And we still do. And we also need language that paints a beautiful picture with words. Language that names the holy as so close they are part of us, and so expansive that God's physical manifestation must be the cosmos. We need that alongside the wonder of atoms combining in the most happy of accidents, and in the careful creation of scientific advancement that protects our bodies and invites us into the future. Breathe into belonging. That can be hard. Some words are loaded. Some words carry histories that we don't want to bring through these doors. Sometimes the work of church, the work of covenant, is to be present through discomfort. Now, I trust you to know when discomfort crosses that line from invitation to growth and into harm, right? Because discomfort can be good and generative, and sometimes it is your body's first warning that a place or a people is not for you. Sometimes that line is really obvious, and collectively we can all find it. But we all carry different experiences that mean that that line is somewhere a little bit different for each of us, and even for each person, sometimes different from one day to the next. Take, for example, the word prayer. What do you think of when you are invited to prayer? I'm going to give it a minute because I'm hoping for some actual answers. I can't hear. Wasting of time. What else? Ritual. Reflection. A spell. Experiences. We can hold them all together. Some of us carry this positive association and some of us a negative one. All of that is welcome here. Because prayer can be all of these things, right? When I think of prayer, I think first of the time that I spend alone in my car. I'm without distractions from my phone or my computer, and so my car is a place of prayer. I turn the radio off, and I start thinking aloud. I muddle through whatever is challenging me that day. I name aloud my moments of joy or weep for whatever brought me pain. Sometimes I sing. When I pray, it is not necessarily to anyone. I definitely don't expect a change. I'm not asking for intercession. Those are good ways to pray, but they are not my way. My prayer has no formal beginning or end. Sometimes it drifts off with a sentence unfinished. And someone else might say that it is not prayer at all, it is meditation, or contemplation, or just running through my day repeatedly. But calling it prayer works for me. It is how I find my way into that word. It's different than what I was taught growing up, but it's mine. Like my walk to the beach, it is a way I find my center. Breathe into belonging. There is so much ahead of us this year, with many moments on the horizon for discussion and small group practices and faith development opportunities across our lifespan, new invitations to casual singing or to choir, to reflection, to community. And in that, there will be moments of disagreement and of discomfort. of the invitation to find our way into someone else's framework, not so we can change our own minds or theirs, but so we can be more fully present together. Breathe into belonging. May it be so. Amen.